Welcome back. Welcome back. It is the Walkthrough Game Day Show presented by Mountaineers Now, a SI Fan Nation channel. I'm Schuyler Callihan, and this is my guy, Eugene Napoleon, former West Virginia running back. And we are here today to talk about a little bit about the Baylor game from last Thursday, West Virginia winning that one 43-40. We're going to get into what this back six or the last six games of the season could mean for West Virginia. We'll get into our keys to the game and, of course, as always, our DVN pick'ems to end the show. So let's get it started with West Virginia's win over Baylor 43-40. We talked about it on Thursday night, but just how big of a win this was for Neil Brown, I don't think a lot of people really understand, because that if you fall to 2-4 and 0-3 in conference play, like, look, we've talked about it a lot on this show. We hate to talk about it, but it's just the reality of the situation. If that were to happen, I mean, that seat is going to be scorching hot, and you would have had to go on the road this week to Texas Tech, a team he has yet to beat. So they would have dug themselves a major hole. And I think not only just it didn't matter who they were playing last week, but I think the fact that it was Baylor, the defending Big 12 champions, I think gives him a little bit longer of a leash too, in case they were to slip up and fall to Texas Tech this weekend. And if they kind of yo-yo their way back and forth in the win-loss column throughout the rest of the year. So, Gene, just speak to the importance of getting that win, but getting that win against the defending Big 12 champions.
Absolutely. Let me first say this. I don't think if you haven't played at this level, I don't think people really understand how difficult it is to win college football games at this level. Let me first preface it by saying that it's not easy. Any win is a good win. Now, let's size it up this way. As you said, the defending Big 12 champions, Baylor. Doesn't matter that they never won in Morgantown. That don't matter. So, it was definitely a signature win. It was a big win for Coach Brown and for the staff and for our team. And I'm glad they got the win. Now, to set it up even bigger than that, as you said, Schuyler, and you're 100% right. You can't lose this game and then go on the road to Lubbock and then lose at Texas Tech after losing this game at home against Baylor. Because the way the optics work, it would look like, well, wait a minute. That's the first time you've lost to Baylor at home. Oh, my God, the earth is shattering. And then you go and you lose in Lubbock, which we haven't beaten them, okay? Coach Brown has not beaten them. So now you got two things. I don't think that would have fared too well. But I do think the fact that we beat Baylor, a well-coached football team, a good football team, despite people that's a good football team. They just won the freaking conference last year.
Yeah, and they have a lot of pieces back too.
And they have a lot of pieces back. That speaks a lot, I believe, to where this team is. And I'm going to tell you something that I really love. I love the fact that they can go in and douse the noise, silence the noise in that locker room and still come out and play for Coach Brown and that staff. That's very important. Very important.
It is. And I think that the big thing that I took away, obviously there was a lot of good that happened in the game, but the one big thing negative-wise was the pass defense. I mean, it was bad. I mean, you give up 421 passing yards. They did get the one interception at a time that they really needed it. So, and they had a couple of forced fumbles. The defense made plays when they needed to make plays.
Yeah, right.
Rest of the game, it was very, very concerning, I would say, especially with the offenses that they have yet to see, like an Oklahoma State, a Kansas State, a Texas Tech, who put up 31 on Oklahoma State. So it's going to be very interesting to see how many tweaks and improvements that they can make halfway through the season, or are they just going to have to continue to really just outscore people at this point?
I think you're going to be surprised, because I think every game sets up a different set of circumstances to prepare for that game. So I guarantee you're going to see some things that will be tweaked for the Texas Tech game that you didn't see for the Baylor game.
Yeah.
And when that happens, things tend to happen a little bit better for you in most cases, right? They're going to be up for this Texas Tech game. I'm telling you right now. And I guarantee you, the one thing that I absolutely love the fact that you can make the plays when you have to make the plays. They look a little bit erratic and not as consistent as a fan would want them to look. But the bottom line is they were made when they needed to be made, right? I can respect that. I understand, to your point, when you go and you're playing against these high-powered offenses, now that you have down the stretch on your schedule, it could be a little bit concerning. There's no doubt in my mind that our defense won't answer the bell when they have to. I know that doesn't sound too good for a lot of the fans, but that's just the way this thing goes. If our offense can continue churning out the yards in the run game and put the ball in the air in the pass game, listen, man, Scott, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm back sipping the Kool-Aid.
Forget all that stuff you said a couple of weeks ago. I mean,
I'm a realist.
You won't ever be able to find it.
Look, I'm a realist. Here's the thing. We speak in the moment.
We speak in the moment. Right.
Exactly. You speak to exactly what you're talking about in that particular game. And I was upset.
I mean, I think that's what some fans like, when they may say like, oh, we jumped the gun, we're a little too negative, too harsh. Like, no, I don't think people realize like the post-game shows, we are taping the post-game shows literally 15 minutes after the game ends.
Right.
That's a raw reaction from what just happened. You give it a couple days to simmer. Tuesday comes around, Monday or whatever, whenever we tape the preview show, and you sit and you get a chance to really think about everything that's happened. And sometimes it's the same thing. Sometimes it's not. We are going week by week with this thing.
Absolutely.
Just as the team is. Like, I think the emotional roller coaster with this team has been wild. Like, there's been plays that could have been made in the Pitt and Kansas game that they could have changed the outcome. They win a few games, against Virginia Tech. They beat Baylor. Like, it's just been up and down. How do you stop this from being a constant yo-yo where you're winning, you're losing, you're winning, you're losing? How do you find consistency?
You want to laugh? It's called life.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
It's called life, right? So sometimes we get like off the beaten path and understand this is a football game. There's ebb and flows in life in general that happens. This is the same thing with football. Some weeks you're up, some weeks you're down. Some plays you're up, some plays you're down. That's the way it goes. The roller coaster continues. Here's the thing. I would rather be up than down any period of any point of any season, even in the way that life rolls. Give me some ups, because I already know there's going to be some downs. That's just the way it goes. In this profession, and that Coach Brown is in, and these other coaches, this is what they chose to do.
Yeah.
Right? So as fans choose to cheer and boo and stare right. Okay? So I don't get too caught up in what the fans are saying, but I do respect emotion. The same way we as a player, when I played on the Mountaineer teams, we did respect the fans' emotion. But I'm going to tell you one thing we did not do. We didn't bring that emotion and energy into the locker room.
Right. And that's very important.
Coach Neal didn't allow it. And I see that with Coach Brown. How do you stop that? You can't. What you do is you ride it and you take from it what you need to be better the following week. That's all you can do, because that's sports. If that were the case, if we can control that, that means all these great coaches who've gotten fired wouldn't have got fired. That means my dad going Cowboys, Dallas that is, would have won against Philly.
Yeah.
If we can control that, so we can't. I just think that being as best prepared as you possibly can be is all you could expect, and then go out and execute to the best of your ability. If we do that, consistently, I think then you'll get a consistent pattern of good football. Win, lose, or draw. I like to see good football, Schuyler, honestly, on any level.
Yeah, I think you really got to tip your hat to not only Neil Brown, but the coaching staff, the players, because now again, we're going week by week basis. So this thought may change in a week or two. But as of right now, you have to give them some credit because they could have just, folded after that 0-2 start when you lose to Kansas,
Right.
and things could have just bottomed out. You could have lost the locker room, you could have lost the team, and it could have even happened after the Texas loss because of the fashion in which you lost that game. You come back after a bye week. That's a long time to get that bad taste out of your mouth. And hey, they were down 17-7 against Baylor. That game could have got out of hand too, but they fought, they scrapped, and they ended up winning the game. So credit to them for sticking to it and overcoming some adversity. The big thing now is, can they finish strong? And this is where we're going to go now. They're sitting at 3-3. The Big 12 is as wide open as it has ever been. I don't think that you can look at any team in this conference outside of maybe Iowa State, and that's just because they have 4 conference losses right now, and say they're completely out of the mix. And to be honest with you, Iowa State, they're not a bad football team either. Their 4 losses have come by a combined 14 points.
Right.
That's insane. So there's no cupcakes, there's no gimmies in this league. But if we're going just off of what the standings show, West Virginia still has to play the top 3 teams in the league, and they still have to play the bottom 3 teams in the league. So just like the results have been so far, a little bit of up and down in the opponents. So can West Virginia finish this season strong and carry some momentum into next season, which would be year 5 under Neil Brown, and set up what could be a massive year for the Mountaineers? Because if you look at it, JT Daniels can come back if he so chooses to.
Right.
All them running backs can come back. Bryce Ford Wheaton can come back. Sam James can come back. Caden Prather will come back. A lot of those offensive linemen will come back. You have a lot of pieces on defense coming back. That is a lot of talent that have now have been together for a while, with a coach and a coaching staff that has been together for a while. So 2023 could be a year where Neil Brown really starts to make his ascension in the Big 12. I think it starts this season, though. You're going to find out a lot about where this program is and the direction where it's headed by this week's game. The reason I say that, history says West Virginia will lose this game against Texas Tech. They're 0-3 against the Red Raiders under Neil Brown. Even worse, they're 6-13 on the road under Neil Brown, 5-10 in road games in conference play. Do you think that trend can turn itself and they start winning some of these road games, find some consistency, and finish the year 8-4, 7-5?
Let me put my Kool-Aid down. Listen, there's a lot to think about, and there's a lot of numbers to go through, but if I were a betting man, I would think that not only does West Virginia still have the opportunity to go bowling, they have the opportunity to surprise a lot of people, because I'm going to throw something at you that I don't think, and I think I saw it probably third quarter of the Baylor game, which made me think my perspective changed a little bit about the guts of where that team is as a team, because they could have easily thrown the towel in, and they didn't against a really good opponent. So nobody wanted to win that game more than Baylor. You didn't think they heard all week that we haven't won in Morgantown? Yeah, of course they did. With a defending conference champs, whatever. So if West Virginia can put together that type of fire, and the defense does what they do, and the special teams and the offense, I'm going to tell you something, Schuyler, don't be surprised if not only do they win and love it for the first time, don't be surprised. But don't be surprised if they beat 2 of these 3 upper echelon teams in that conference. Those will be signature wins for Coach Brown and that staff because he hadn't done that since he's been at WVU.
Yeah.
I'm banking on him doing that. So now I can pick my Kool-Aid back up.
Yeah. What flavor is that? What flavor?
Well, I'm about to pour. I'm a great Kool-Aid man myself.
You sure it's Kool-Aid?
I like it, but you know I don't drink. So all it's going to be either water, juice, or Kool-Aid.
Whole lot of optimism in that Kool-Aid. So I like it. Someone's got to have it. You know what? I mean, I think they can, and I think the reason why I believe that there's a chance they can go 7-5 or better is because the offense is so electric and so dynamic. And you look around the Big 12, and I mean, we saw it with TCU, Oklahoma State. We saw it with Oklahoma State, Texas Tech. We've seen it with a number of other games where there's a bunch of shootouts. It is almost like the Big 12 from the Geno Smith years has returned. And it's just a bunch of high-scoring, electrifying offenses that are just trying to outmatch each other right now. And I think as long as you have a quarterback that can take care of the football, which JT Daniels does, and you can run the football, which those three running backs can do, you're going to have a chance. Now it's about, can that secondary figure something out and help out the offensive side of the ball so you can play a little bit more complementary football. Again, when you have that much explosiveness on the offensive side, you're going to have a chance to win games. Looking ahead, real quick before we get into the keys to the game, when you have the potential of a JT Daniels and a Caden Prather, a Bryce Ford Wheaton, and all those running backs and the offensive line defense coming back, what is the actual ceiling for a team like that next season?
See, now you're going to get me in trouble. The last time, when you have that much talent at all of the key positions, see, when you start
talent too.
Yeah, you start to throw out like 10-2, 11-1. You know what I mean? Because then the expectations is through the roof because of the talent and because of the depth at those key positions. Then it's almost impossible to say we don't have experience or we're young at every position, or because then it's truly the next guy up because you really do have that talent and you have that depth. If all of that plays out, right, and they all come back, I'm telling you, yeah, the Mountaineer fans, myself included, are going to be expecting 11-1. Heck, you're just going to naturally expect a conference championship in Morgantown next year. You're going to expect that because you have the talent to do exactly that.
Yeah, in Oklahoma.
Not only the stuff, right? You got the talent and the depth. Yeah. Those two combinations allow anyone take the glass off, put it back on, take the glass off, put it back on, to see we should win at least 10 football games. Heck, I said it this year, didn't I?
You did. And I think this year, I wasn't on the same page with you on that one this year, but next year, if that is the case and you somehow get all those guys back, I really do think that if it's anything less than 8 wins, it's a major disappointment because there's so much talent. Like I was saying, Oklahoma State, I think they're going to be losing some talent. Oklahoma's still trying to figure out what they're doing. It looks like that may take a little longer than what people think. We don't know about Texas yet. I mean, I don't know if they're leaving. Oklahoma may be leaving too. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns, but the talent and the potential for next year's team for West Virginia, man, it is sky high through the roof. So back to
loaded. If all that comes back, they're definitely loaded.
Oh yeah, absolutely. New Year's 6 should be the expectation at the very least. So
yeah.
And it's been a while since those expectations have been around in Morgantown. So it'll be nice to have some meaningful football beyond the first month really of the season and getting to October, November. So it should be a lot of fun if that's how it plays out. So let's go ahead and get back to this year and this week and that matchup against Texas Tech. Gene, let's run through our keys to the game. We'll go with you first.
Definitely. Listen, I always talk with the big boys up front because I think that you have to control that line of scrimmage and you have to make it where your first down, you get good yardage. You have to, which means you control line of scrimmage, right? The backs. I always say this. If your backs are running the way that WVU's backs have been running, those guys have really been controlling the football, the clock, and all of that stuff. They've really been churning it out. That opens your playbook up so wide for the passing game because then play action is there. All these different things that you can do because the defense, you got to keep you're keeping the defense honest. It is what it is. Control line of scrimmage, run the football effectively, which opens up the passing game. If you do that, you're going to give a defensive coordinator nightmares and their defense fits. Conversely, on the other side of the ball, we really have to put pressure on Tech's passing game. I don't care how good a quarterback is. You've heard me say it many times, Schuyler. Dude can't throw on his back.
Exactly.
So we really got to get to the quarterback. I believe 3 sacks. We have to dial up 3 sacks somehow this game in Lubbock. We have to dial up some pressure because if we do that, it helps our back end. And our corners and safeties, they need all the help they can get. So we have to apply the pressure. If we can put pressure on their passing game and on their running game, it helps our back end. And they need it. It is what it is. They need it. Our special teams, we need 3 turnovers. Ooh. We need 3 turnovers. And the reason why I say that, 3 turnovers will help. It's either going to it'll flip the field, first off, let's be clear. And it gives our offense extra possessions. And I'm all about, with our high power offense, I'm all about extra possessions.
Yeah.
So if we can get, let's say 2 turnovers on the special team side of it, 3 sacks, a pick or a fumble to give our offense an extra 1 possessions, I'm telling you, this game can be won if those things happen.
Yeah, and for me, I think it starts with going back to what you did last week against Baylor. And I know you don't necessarily want to carry a game plan over from week to week because obviously teams will catch on to that. But I think this is a really good opportunity for Neil Brown to kind of find an identity with this offense. I mean, they have an identity of being very balanced. But I think maybe not only with this offense, but an identity as a team. Because you go back at his time at Troy, they weren't like this, ground and pound team that was going to beat you with the run game, or they weren't going to spread it out and throw for 500 yards a game. They never really had the stats that would just jump out to you and say, wow, that offense does this or that, and that's how they win games. Every win that they had at Troy under Neil Brown was totally different. They had it painted its own story. And sometimes it was ugly, but they found ways to win. And I think with this team in particular, because of the defense in that secondary, you kind of have to almost play clock control and keep that defense off the field and run the football. So if you can continue to run the ball like you have, keep the defense off the field, that's a major, major win. Number 2 for me is limit the explosive plays. Texas Tech, we've known for years, hasn't changed under Joey McGuire. They're going to want to hit the big deep shots, regardless of who's at quarterback, whether it be Baron Morton or Donovan Smith, doesn't matter.
Right.
Limit the explosive plays. And then thirdly, for me, contain Sir Roderick Thompson, veteran running back that has the potential to hit home runs from anywhere on the field. You've got to be able to bottle him up. And if you take away Sir Roderick Thompson and you force them to be a one-dimensional offense, that's going to help out that young secondary immensely.
I agree with you. And I believe we can do just that and a hair more with 1 or 2 extra possessions.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Hey, we were spot on those keys of the game before. So last week against Baylor. So hey, maybe we're cooking with something here. So, all right, Gene, it's your favorite time. It's my favorite time of the show, and probably everybody else's favorite time of the show because we get to debate a little bit. It's our DVN Pick'ems. And my dude, you are on some sort of heater right now. I'm just going to go ahead and admit it. You're 9-1 over the last 2 weeks. Yeah, 9-1. You went 5-0 last week. I went 3-2. You've got a little bit of separation on me now, so you're 25-10, and I'm 21-14. But
Okay.
so
Listen. Brush your shoulder off a little bit, right?
yeah. I gotta maybe what I need to do is whenever you make your picks, we'll switch them on the screen, so maybe they're wrong. But anyways, I need a big week, so here we go. Number 14 Syracuse at number 5 Clemson. Big top 15 matchup in the ACC. 12 o'clock on ABC. Dino Babers got the orange rolling right now. I don't think that continues this week, though. DJ Uiagalelei and that Clemson offense seems to have figured some things out. I think Clemson's trending upward right now, and as a team, I do not want any part of, especially down at their place. I'm going with the Clemson Tigers.
Absolutely. Clemson all the way. And for the very same reason what you just said, that's how I feel about it as well. No, Death Valley is Death Valley for a reason.
Hey, Oklahoma State, they lost last week to TCU in a double overtime heartbreaker. They were up big in that game. I believe it was like 24-7 over TCU. This week, they're hosting number 20 Texas, 3:30 ABC. This is a very, very big game for both teams. You don't want to fall any further in those Big 12 standings. This one's tough. But I'm going to go with Mike Gundy. I'm going to go with the Oklahoma State Cowboys. I think they bounce back. Texas is a good football team. They really are. I love Bijan Robinson. I love Quinn Ewers, Xavier Worthy, all those pieces they got on offense. But at the end of the day, I'm taking Mike Gundy over Steve Sarkisian.
It's funny you say that because I like Oklahoma State in this game as well, because I think that for some reason they play big in situational football like this. Situational football, they just make the plays to win, right? For some odd reason, my gut is telling me Texas is going to find a way to win a very close game. But I'm not gonna go with my gut. I'm gonna go with Oklahoma State because I think you're right. Mike Gundy has a knack for these type of games.
He don't win games back to back.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say Oklahoma State in a close one.
Top 10 matchup in the Pac-12, number 9 UCLA and number 10 Oregon, 3:30. I know you love you some DTR. Are you going back there again this week? Because I'm not. I think this is a tough one for UCLA on the road. If this were at home, it might be a little different, but I think the Ducks, I know they haven't been playing extremely well this year, but I think they'll find a way to win. That's a tough place to play at Autzen State. I'm going with Oregon.
No. Quack, quack, step on the beat. No. UCLA, baby. UCLA.
DTR it is. Back into the Big 12. We're giving the Big 12 a ton of love this week, but there's a lot of big matchups in the Big 12. So number 17 Kansas State at number 8 TCU. Did the Horned Frogs, who now sit alone at the top of the Big 12, keep it going? I'm going to say yes. And it's hard for me because I really am high on this Kansas State team. Adrian Martinez, I just saw this earlier today. Kansas State is the only team in the country to have not thrown an interception this year.
Yeah.
They're not going to help you win games. Chris Kleiman, Bill Snyder, doesn't matter who the coach has been there over the last X amount of years. That's the way they play football. They don't beat themselves. It's hard for me to go against Kansas State. It really is. But that TCU offense is explosive. It's going to be hard to stop. I'm going with the Horned Frogs.
This is why you don't win. Kansas State, my guy. Kansas State, my guy.
Oh, man. Hey, this is a chance for me to get some separation, so we can't – if we pick them all the same, that wouldn't help me, so good deal. All right, now on to our game, West Virginia at Texas Tech, 3 o'clock, FS1. Can the Mountaineers continue their winning ways? They've won 3 of 4. You may not think it. It may not feel like it, but the Mountaineers have some momentum rolling forward. Here's what Neil Brown had to say earlier this week.
They've played 3 quarterbacks. I think all 3 of them are really good. A lot of good skill. I think they play 8 receivers. All of them have multiple catches. The 2 running backs have both hurt us in the past. They're running a lot of plays. They've been somewhat balanced, but they spread you out and cause some difficulties with how they get in and out of their stuff. A lot of new stuff each and every week. They're really hard to schematically get ready for on on the defensive end. It's a tough environment, and it'll be really a great environment for college football there on Saturday afternoon, and kind of starting a stretch run here. So looking forward to it.
All right, Eugene, West Virginia and Texas Tech. Time to make our picks. And yes, for the first time, it seems like forever, I am going to go with West Virginia. There's this weird feeling about this. I'm making a man take off his hoodie. Uh-oh.
Man is finally getting with the team.
Yes, I am.
Finally.
And the weird thing is, I'm a very big trends guy. I usually go with the trends, but I feel something is going to change and turn. And I think that defense is going to find some answers. They're not going to find them all. But they're going to find enough to get this win on the road in Lubbock and move to 4-3, 2-2 in the Big 12. I've got West Virginia in this one. And I'm not going to give out my score prediction just yet because I don't know what that score is going to be. I'll give it out on Friday on the site. So, Eugene, you're up.
You already know who I'm going with, so it won't be a stop the press moment for me. You already knew who I'm rocking with. Let's go Mountaineers. We're going to go to Lubbock and we're going to get the win that we so richly deserve. And I'm going to be real proud of Coach Brown, the rest of that, and the staff and that daggone team. Go down there, do what we need to do, and get back to Morgantown.
There it is. West Virginia across the board for the first time in a while here on the Walkthrough Game Day show. So that's going to do it for today's episode. You can follow us on Twitter at Mountaineers Now. You can follow me at Callihan _ and Eugene at Napoleon _ Eugene. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Mountaineers Now. And we'll be back here on Saturday night as we recap the West Virginia Texas Tech game here on the Mountaineers Now post-game show. So until Saturday night, take care.